Stamp with Amy K YouTube Live, and today I'm going to show you how I made a card with the Sweet Citrus Stamp Set Bundle from Stampin' Up's mini catalog, which is the January to April 2023 mini catalog. And like I said, it's just a fun little card. It's a fun little bundle. If you haven't seen it before, it's got what Stampin' Up calls a hybrid embossing folder, and I'll show you how that works here in just a second as we're stamping and creating the card. So this is what we're going to make today. It's pretty super simple, but it was from a sketch challenge that I saw, and I thought it was kind of cute, and I thought it'd work perfectly with the fruit pieces, so I decided I'd go ahead and run with it and use this. There's a little bit, hopefully you can see a little bit of blending on the background. I'm trying to move the card just a little bit so that hopefully you can see a little of the shading. I put a little green ink on the background underneath the fruit pieces, which I can see, but I don't know how well it shows up on the camera. So this is the stamp set. It is, like I said, it's a really cute one. It's got some good sentiments in it. It's got some fun fruit images in it, and some little flowers. So all sorts of things, everything you need: spring, fruit, summer, whatever you want to use it for. So hey Pam, thanks for hopping in today. So it's a good set, and it's photopolymer, so you can see through it and make it pretty easy for stamping. So hey, Darlene, I'm glad you made it in, and yep, you did everything right. So, and hey, Patricia, I'm glad you're here as well. All right, so this is the stamp set. Again, it's photopolymer, so you can see through it, and it's really easy to stamp with. And then, oops, I guess I should hold on to that here for a second. And then there are some coordinating dies. So there's this large die that actually cuts out the fruit pieces here, and then the flower dies that cut out the flower images. So this one cuts out the group of 3, and then this one cuts out the little individual flower. And there are actually 2 of these in the stamp set, or in the die set, I'm sorry, so that if you want to stamp multiples of things, it's really nice to be able to do that and then cut them all out at once. And then there are 2 of the leaves that coordinate with the little leaf image as well. So then there's the hybrid embossing folder, and this actually is pretty cool because you can use it a couple different ways. You can use it just to emboss. So if you want to just emboss your background panel, whatever, you can use it for that. Or you can use it with the die set, and again, I'll show you exactly how it works when we're going through this, but you actually can fit the die in to the embossing folder and stamp your image and then die cut and emboss it all in one swing, which is pretty cool. So again, like I said, I'll show you how that all works as we're going through the process and creating the card. But I think that's it. So that's actually all that I used, other than some, paper and ink and that sort of thing. I didn't use any other die sets, which is kind of strange because usually I use like a whole bunch of things. So keeping it simple today, I guess. And if I didn't say hello, Carol, thanks for hopping in. Glad you're here. All right, so a couple things before I get to the card. I have got my Valentine ordering bonus going on right now, where you get a free adhesive with any order of $50 or greater that you place through my online store between now and the 14th of February. So it's, that's in addition to the normal $10 thank you gift that you get. So it's just a little extra bonus that I'm doing right now for Valentine's Day. So happy Valentine's Day to everybody. And my little special does run through Valentine's Day, which is next week, Tuesday. So in case you haven't got anything for Valentine's Day yet, go get your things, whatever you need to do. So hey, Karen. All right, Stampin' Up! Does have a really awesome joining promotion going on right now for Celebration. And it runs through February 28th. And there actually are 3 different options that you can join with as a demonstrator. Deal. And I'm hoping that my video is not frozen because it froze for a second on my screen. All right. But there are three great deals. So you can, the first 2, it's $129 that you pay for it, and you get to pick either the blue or the white mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and $175 of your choice merchandise from the Stampin' Up! Catalog. So it is a great deal. And then there's the third deal, which is also extremely great. So if you don't need the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, then Stampin' Up! Has a deal where you can join for $99, and you just pay your tax on that. The starter kits all ship for free. And you get to pick $175 worth of Stampin' Up! Merchandise. So if you are not a demonstrator, now is an excellent time to join. We'd love to have you come join us, hang out with us, and get that awesome demonstrator discount for yourself. So let me know if you have any questions on that or want to chat more about it. I'm happy to talk with you and fill you in on all the details. And everything is posted on my blog as well, which is stampwithamyk.com. So feel free to stop out there and check out the details too. And then one last thing, Stampin' Up! Does have some additional celebration items that are available through the end of February. So there's card kits and designer series paper, punches. These are all items that you can pick for free with an order of $50 or greater. And then there is a bundle, the Eden's Garden bundle, you actually can get for free with an order of $100 or greater through the end of February, through the end of celebration. So let me know if you have questions about that. Again, the details are all posted on my blog, which is stampwithamyk.com. And Debbie, thanks for hopping in today. And I love this bundle too. I can't help myself. It's so cute. So, all right. So let's get started. I've got a blending brush and I've got Granny Apple Green ink and a panel of basic white cardstock. This is cut to about 3 7/8 by 5 1/8, and all the measurements and all the details are going to be posted on my blog tomorrow, so don't feel like you have to pay attention to really the measurements, and half the time I say the wrong numbers anyway, so you probably don't want to pay much attention to what I'm saying for the numbers. Just check my blog post tomorrow, and I will link up the blog post in the description of this video, so you'll be able to find it pretty easily once the blog post goes live around 8 o'clock in the morning Eastern time on Saturday. So, hey, Drew, thanks for hopping in. All right, and I'm just going to add a little bit more the ink kind of around the edges here, and I think we will call that good for the Granny Apple Green ink. I'm going to close that up before I end up sticking my fingers in it. And then I've got a piece of Granny Apple Green cardstock that I have cut to about 4 inches by 5 1/4. And we're just going to stick these two together with some Stampin' Seal. That is if I can drive and keep my Stampin' Seal on the paper, which sometimes I have challenges with that. I don't know, driving. All right, so just sticking the two together here, trying to get it so that it's fairly even around the edges all the way around. And then I'm going to grab some Stampin' Dimensionals. These are my chopped up Stampin' Dimensionals. I cut mine in half, and I know that some of you love that, and some of you really don't love that. And if you don't love that, it's okay, because you can leave them as whole dimensionals. I just prefer the half ones myself, because I feel like they fit better in a lot of places. And they work just as well as the whole one, and you know, I'm kind of cheap, so. All right, so let me peel the backings off of those. And then I have got some thick basic white cardstock that I have cut to 5 1/2 by 8 1/2 and scored right in the middle at 4 1/4. And we're just going to stick these two together with the Stampin' Dimensionals, and hopefully, again, just try to get it lined up so that it's even all the way around the edges. The next thing we're going to do is the fun stamping part, and there's something icky on that side. We'll flip it over. And I've got the little citrus image. This is the outline image from the Sweet Citrus stamp set. And again, it's from the Stampin' Up! Mini catalog. And I've got Daffodil Delight ink, and we're going to ink up the, I don't know, the rinds or the outsides or whatever you want to call it of the fruit pieces here with Daffodil Delight ink. And I'm just stamping it on basic white cardstock. One thing that I will say when you're using this, the hybrid embossing folder, trying to make sure I've got really good ink on that one. The one lemon is not wanting to cooperate. So, all right, I think I got it all in there. Sometimes it works a little better to cut down the paper a little bit. This is probably about 4 1/2 by 4 inches, I would guess. So it does work a little bit better to cut down the paper just a hair rather than having a larger size piece. Just because when you run it through the embossing folder, depending on how you have it stamped, and I'll show you all that in a second, it may not fit very well through your die cutting machine without having to cut a bunch off the edges. Next color we've got is Pale Papaya, and that is what I'm going to do the inside of the little lemons or grapefruits or whatever. I kind of wanted a grapefruit look. I don't know that I pull it off with this. It looks more like lemons, but I was going for grapefruits. Then I'm just going to stamp that here on the inside and just trying to line it up. And again, they don't line up, you know, they're not going to be perfectly stamped, but getting it lined up reasonably well here. There we go. And I think we did okay on that. So, all right. Sweet LME. Is that lime? I'm not sure. Hey, Sandra, thanks for hopping in from Germany. So, all right. So this is the Sweet Citrus Hybrid Embossing Folder is what they call it. And it actually comes with 2 pieces. So it's got the embossing folder and it's got the dies that coordinate with it. So there is only one die that works in the embossing folder, and it's this larger one. So the way that it works is you open it up, and the side that's got the Stampin' Up! Logo on it, open it up, and you're going to set your die in there. You're going to find out how it fits around the 4 pieces of fruit. It doesn't really snap in. Oh, sweet lime. Oh, okay. Nice. I would not have, yeah, limes for us are green and they're not sweet at all. So, all right. Looks like grapefruit to you. Okay, so I'm glad I'm not crazy. That was, like I said, that was what I was going for with it, but so, all right. So it sits in the embossing folder. It doesn't snap into it, but it does stay. You can tell when it's in the right place because it doesn't move around a whole bunch. It sort of fits into the grooves around the embossed little pieces of fruit here. And then I'm going to take this, and I know that generally it needs to go in here this way, so I'm going to take it and lay it on the top of it, close up the embossing folder, and then flip it over. And from there, I'm going to sort of maneuver the images around in here until they get to the point where everything is lined up as best I can get it lined up in the embossing folder. And then we're going to die cut it. So I'm going to hold this all together, and let me show you the cutting layering that happens here. So we've got the base plate, which is the number 1 plate, and then you're going to put your hybrid embossing folder in or on the plate, and then you're going to put the number 4 plate on top of it, which is the dark gray one. For the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, this plate originally, when they first made it, was a dark blue color. So if you have the dark blue one, that one still works just as well. And then we're going to run it through the die cutting machine. So I'll be back in 1 second. All right, and then when it comes out the other side, you have this really cool die cut and embossed the little pieces of cardstock. Die cut images, I guess I should say. Hey, Carol, thanks for hopping in. So if you, hopefully you can see it pretty well on here, that if you just use the embossing folder, it gives you a really good kind of deep embossing on the cardstock, and it's very cool just if you use the embossing folder, but it's really cool when you use it together with the dies. So then you have die cut and embossed little pieces of fruit. So hopefully, again, I'll kind of try to move them around here a little bit. Hopefully you can, it catches the embossing on it, but it's really cool. If you don't have this, just get it, because I don't want you to be sad that you didn't get it. So, all right, so I'm going to set those aside here, and then I'm going to grab another little piece of cardstock, and we are going to stamp a couple of images of the flowers and the leaves. So taking a little lunch break. Thanks so much for joining from North Carolina. So, all right, so I've got green apple green ink again, and I'm going to stamp the little leaf image. I stamped and die cut the leaves a couple of times ahead of time just so that you didn't have to sit and watch me cut those over and over again. So I'm going to stamp one of those, and then I'm going to grab my pale papaya ink and the little 3-flower image. Again, these are all from the Sweet Citrus stamp set. And gonna ink that and stamp it here on the basic white cardstock. And then I'm gonna grab my Daffodil Delight ink again. And then there are 2 little flower centers. So there's one that's a pair of flower centers, and that actually stamps the flower centers in the smaller flowers. And again, Daffodil Delight ink is what I'm stamping those with. And then there's one that's a little bit larger, and that one fits in the larger flower. So there you go. Got the flowers and the leaves all stamped. And again, like I said, I stamped and cut a couple of the leaves ahead of time. So I'm going to run these through the die cutting machine. I'll be back in 1 second after doing that. And just so you know, these do not work in the hybrid embossing folder. So these are just regular dies. And there's the one that cuts the group of 4, or group of 3, group of 4. I can count, group of 3, and then one that cuts the leaves. So I'm going to run these through the die cutting machine. I'll be right back. All right. Whoop. Come on. Lining them up is the worst part. All right. Get everything rounded up and back here on my magnetic sheet before I lose track of all the dies. And then we've got our little die cut flowers and leaves here. And then we're going to start sticking it on the card front. So I used mini glue dots to adhere all the little fruit pieces and the leaves on and the flowers as well. So I started with the larger of the fruit pieces. So the more, I don't know, yeah, I guess it's just the larger one of the fruit slice. And I put mini glue dots on it, and I tried to keep the glue dots so they were a little bit more towards the center. Catching you live. All right. Yes, I love it when we have all this, assistive technology, and yes, it assists me to say things wrong and types the wrong words. So I know, I feel your pain, Jenny. So, all right, so I've got my larger fruit slice there. That was because that kind of centered everything and grounded it in the middle of the card. I wanted to start with that one. And then I'm going to take the other little half slice here, and we're going to tuck that under. I think, actually thinking I might move this down just a hair, put this one up just a little. And then we're going to start putting actually I'll put the little lemon piece, or well, I guess it's supposed to be grapefruits, but we're calling this one a lemon because it looks just like a lemon. We're going to take that one and tuck it here underneath the larger die cut. And now I'm going to start sticking on a couple of the leaves so that I make sure that I get those in the spots where I want them to be. I think we'll tuck that one in there. And I'm trying not to smoosh down too hard on any of the die cuts right now, just because sometimes I want to do that where I maneuver things around, move it around a little bit based on how things land on the card. So, I am glad you're here, Cheryl. Glad you're able to make it live. So, from Washington, all right. And I'm going to tuck this one in here, right underneath that one. And then I've got my final little half lemon slice or half grapefruit slice or whatever fruit it is that you're making, limes, whatever. And we're going to take that one and tuck it in over here. And then I've got the last little set of leaves that I'm going to tuck in underneath that half slice. There we go. And since I think I like where everything is landing on here, I'm going to go ahead and smoosh that down. And then I'm going to grab a couple of the little flowers, and again, just putting a little glue dot on the back of those, sticking one flower here. There's the glue dot, another little flower over here. And then the final one I'll put on this larger fruit slice. All right, I think we'll put it right about there. And then I'm going to grab this is the black and white gingham, 1/4 inch wide gingham ribbon. So, hey, from Holland, thanks for joining, Amanda. I appreciate you being here. So I've got the gingham. This is the black and white gingham ribbon, and I'm just going to tie a little bow. So when I tie bows that are just loose by themselves, I start with what I call the bunny ears. So we do the bunny ears first, make 2 little loops, and then I cross them over one another and tuck one through. There we go, getting it started. And then that's how I make my bows. So I keep them pretty easy. It also allows me then to kind of play with the bow a little bit as I'm trying to figure out how large I want the bow or how small I want the bow, all that sort of thing. Tying it that way gives me a little bit of room to move things around as I need to and flatten it out and, all that stuff. I thought I had untwisted that, and I think I twisted it, but it'll be good because we'll just put it underneath the sentiment and nobody will know that it's twisted. All right, and let me grab a pair of scissors here, and Karen, look away because, yes, I forgot to grab my ribbon scissors, but it cut it just fine. See, all good. All right, I'm going to grab a little mini glue dot here, and we're going to stick it on the back of my bow and then stick the bow, hopefully, to the card front and not to my finger. I will probably end up trimming the ends of the bow down just a little bit, just because they're a little longer probably than they need to be. But I usually wait and do that kind of at the end once I have everything laid out and figure out where I want it. And then I cut it down right before I send out the card. So I've got a last little piece of basic white cardstock here. And this is cut to about 5/8 of an inch tall by about 3 3/8 wide. And again, all the measurements and things will be on my blog tomorrow, so no need to worry about that. And then I've got Granny Apple Green ink that I'm going to stamp the sentiment in. And it just is the one that says, enjoy the sweeter things in life. And hopefully I won't drop it anywhere. One nice thing about the photopolymer stamps is that you can see through them. So hopefully I got it stamped on here straight. And if not, there's always the other side of the cardstock, which I think I got it on there reasonably straight. So we will call that good for this time around. And then I'm going to put this on here so that it's over the top of my bow so that it hides the kind of icky looking glue dot back there. So I just want to be aware of where I'm putting my Stampin' Dimensionals. Make sure I put one far over to the left-hand side here and then leave a little gap and then do probably 2 of them over here towards the right so that I don't accidentally put one right on top of the bow and then have a big weird lump in my sentiment. So, all right, so again, these are my little half Stampin' Dimensionals that I like to use. And it's just for projects like this because I really like the size of them on a lot of the sentiments and smaller die cuts. So, and I know there are mini glue dot or mini Stampin' Dimensionals, and some people love those. I don't know, I just got used to using the half ones before the minis came out, and I've just never made the transition. So, all right, I'm going to take that and stick it to the card front. Try to get it on there straight. Now I'm going to trim up just a hair the ends of my bow. I think we'll go this way with it. And again, Karen, look away. I know this drives her crazy when I do this with my paper snips rather than a fancy ribbon scissors, but they work. So don't tell her, but they work. All right, last thing for the card front is I got a couple of rhinestones that I was going to put on there. These are just the rhinestone basic jewels, and we're just going to take a couple of them, different sizes. So I'll put one of the larger ones down here, one of the smaller ones over here, and then grab, there's kind of the medium-sized one. We'll put that up here, and then a couple more of the small ones, and tuck them in around the die-cut leaves. Just sort of scatter them across the card front. And that's it for the card front. So super, super simple. The inside I kept pretty simple as well. And I don't know what it is that I've got goobered all over this. I guess I set my cardstock down, probably, who knows. It's something icky. There are black dots on it, and I don't know where they came from, but sometimes I make a mess. All right, so I've got pale papaya ink, and we're going to stamp. This piece is cut to, basic white cardstock is cut to about 4 by 5 1/4. I'm just going to stamp the little flower images on the upper left and lower right areas of the panel. And then I'm going to grab my Daffodil Delight ink, and here are the 2 little flower centers, and stamp those in Daffodil Delight ink. So again, this is a little pair of flower centers that you can stamp both of the little flowers at the same time. And then the larger one that stamps, or that will stamp the center of the larger flower. There you go. Oh, thanks so much, Drew. I appreciate that. I'm glad you're liking it. So, all right, going to flip this over, add a little Stampin' Seal to the back. And we're going to be all done with the card for today. So, all right, take that and just stick it here on the inside. And I did have somebody ask me the other day out on Instagram why it was that I think it was Instagram, maybe it was here, why I add an extra layer on the inside when it's a white card base. And it's just my personal preference. I just think it looks a little more finished on the inside. If you don't like that look, or if you don't want to do that, you certainly can stamp directly on the card base, particularly when it's white. There's no reason that you have to do an extra layer in there, but I just like the way it looks, so that's why I do it. All right, grabbing the bone folder and putting a little crease here along the edge. And that's it. So, card I made ahead of time, card I made today. It's an awesome, awesome stamp set bundle. If you don't have it yet, you need to get it. Just put it on your list. It's Sweet Citrus, and it's got the hybrid embossing folder, so you get the embossing folder and the dies that fit inside it, all in one swing. So get the bundle, and you just won't be sad. So, hey, Vicki, 6:30 a.m. Yikes! Glad you were able to catch the end of it, and you can always catch the replay if you want to go back and watch from the beginning. So, I appreciate you all being here. Thanks so much for joining me today. Have a wonderful rest of your Friday. Enjoy your weekend. I guess it's Saturday already over in Sydney, Australia. So, good morning. Enjoy your weekend. I will plan to be back here live around 2:00 Eastern time on Tuesday, and then again back here on Friday around 2:00 Eastern time. So I appreciate y'all joining me. Have a wonderful weekend. Hey, Susie, thanks for hopping in from Southwest Florida, and I heard you talk to my father-in-law today. So, so anyway, all right, chat with y'all soon.